बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम। आज हम फूड चेन के बारे में कुछ बातें बताएंगे, कुछ फैक्ट्स बताएंगे। तो फूड चेन जो है, एज इट इंडिकेट्स, टू थिंग्स आर इन्वॉल्व. फूड इज इन्वॉल्व, वट एवर वी ईट or is being eaten by us or by any animal, and chain means a link between two organisms in terms of food. तो ये food chain कहलाता है. As this first picture on the title indicates, there are producers, there are primary consumers, there are secondary consumers, then there are tertiary, and apex predators are there. So all of them, they also produce litter, decomposers, then they come. So this is the whole brief story of this lecture. This course is suitable for all kinds of botanists, right from the BSc level to PhD level in different fields, wherever this botany start, biology, zoology, chemistry, geography, environmental sciences, biotechnology, microbiology, forestry, so all where. I would request like it, share it, subscribe it to encourage us, because this is purely an academic channel. So academic channels, they are not very much preferred, only confined to the students or to the teachers. Nobody else out of this fair would like to listen such lectures. So this first slide tells who eats whom, कौन किसको खाता है, या ये समझ लें कि who eats what, कौन क्या खाता है, केड़ा आदमी किसां खांदा है. The food chain shows how food energy passes from one living thing to another living organism. Energy means whatever food we have, whether it is a grass, whether it's a meat, whether it's anything which we eat, that provides you energy to the body, by virtue of which we are living, and then a part of this energy is transferred to the next level, let's say from the grasses to the herbivores, to the herbivores to the carnivores, to the carnivores to the apex organisms. So this makes a line, a series of changes occurring from one organism to another. Again, if you consider it, that who eats whom. Grass is eaten by herbivores. Herbivores are eaten by carnivores, primary. Secondary carnivores then eat the primary carnivores, and so on. So this is a statement which stays everywhere. What is a food chain? Let's say now we are coming to a formal definition, that food chain is the path, is the route, is the line by which energy transfers from one living thing to another through eating and being eaten. So two processes are through eating, one eats, and being eaten, then that the one who eats, he or she also becomes, that organism also becomes a food for the other, so it is being eaten also. It's not the way that one way is there, always you keep on eating, but one day you would be also eaten by another organisms. Like in this case you can see that this solar energy is there, plant is there, grasshopper is there, frog is there, and frog is then taken up by the kite or by the higher organisms. A food chain starts with a base in the green plants. This is a basic principle that food chain will always start from plants. Plants are the basis. They photosynthetically prepare the food. They photosynthetically convert light energy into food energy. That food energy is in the form of its body, and then further it moves on. So remember that whenever we say food chain, so the basic tier, the lowest tier is the plants, and plants get energy from the sun. Energy is transferred through a food by eating and being eaten in continuous series, making a chain. Therefore, a food chain is defined as the transfer of food energy from a source in plants. Remember, that is source in plants, whatever you eat. If you have a junk food, pizza, pizza also comes from plants. Roti comes from plants. Meat comes from plants. Anything you uh, just keep in mind, the ultimate source is the plants. So, food chain is defined as the transfer of food energy from the source in plants through a series of organisms with repeated eating and being eaten. I again say repeated eating is there because daily we eat things. Daily grasshopper eat grass. Daily birds eat grasshopper or other animals, and ultimately one day they become food for the next level organisms. All food chain always start from plants, and plants are the producers. Every living organism in a food chain is either a producer or a consumer. So, thinking this thing in mind, that we can say that every living organism in a food chain is either a producer, that it produces meat, it produces body weight, it produces accumulated food material, or it is a consumer वो कंज्यूमर है कंज्यूम भी कर रहा है so every consumer is either a predator or a prey. This is another version that every consumer is either a predator or a prey. Predator, if goat animals they are grazing upon plants, they are predator for the grass. Prey when they become a food of another organisms. Animals that are hunted and eaten are called prey. Predators are animals that prey or hunt other animals for eating. Plants synthesize, manufacture, convert food for themselves and for all consumers, including man. Man is always a consumer. Man is not a producer. Man cannot produce energy from the solar situation. It cannot produce grass. It cannot be a grass. They are, they are the primary source of organic matter for saprophytes and decay organisms. At each transfer step, whenever from one step, that is from grass to goat or herbivore, from herbivore to carnivore, carnivore to the next level carnivore, 80 to 90% of energy is lost in the biological processes. The transfer is efficient only up to 10%. Therefore, the number of steps or links in a food chain are limited to 4 or 5. So, there are no indefinite links. 4, 5, 6, generally 4, 5 links are there, and thereafter the energy ends up and the chain stops. The shorter the food chain, the greater will be the available energy. Shorter food chain have more energy. Like grasses, they have more energy. Vegetables have more energy. Fruits have more energy than longer food chain. Longer food chain means when there are 3, 4 steps in between them, so they become lesser in their energy accumulation. The available energy is decreased at the end of a longer food chain. So if a food chain is longer, at the end you get the least energy. All food chain operating on land, soil, aquatic habitats, or in the oceans, they are technically similar. All food chains, they are similar. There's no way to define the separate food chains. All of them, they have producers, they have consumers, they have carnivores, and they have top carnivores, so epic carnivores, so similar, always similar. Food chains are of three types. We can divide these food chains into three types based on how they operate: grazing food chain, parasitic food chain, saprophytic food chain. Or they can be, these two, three can be changed into two: the grazing food chain and detritus food chain. Grazing food chain, as it indicates, the word grazing means grazing of grasses, grazing of insect. So, starting from green plants, the food chain moves from herbivores organisms onto the carnivores. हर्बीवोर से लेके घास खाने वाले पौधे, फिर वो कार्निवोर में चेंज होते हैं और कार्निवोर आगे सेकेंडरी, थर्ड, tertiary carnivores में चेंज हो जाते हैं. The energy shifts from smaller to larger organisms. In this case, the energy shifts from smaller to larger organisms, like grasses, which are smaller, change to goat meat, larger, may change to lion tigers. So, larger organisms are there. Prey is generally smaller in size. Prey is generally smaller in size. Prey is the one who is being eaten. So they are generally smaller in size to its predator. Predator must be larger than the prey. For example, a kite preying upon the chicken, a cat preying upon the mouse or chicken, a chicken being preyed by hawk, by cat. In grassland, grasses are grazed by grasshoppers, which are herbivores, which then become food of carnivores and so on. These are few examples of the chain, that is phytoplankton. These are microscopic algal cells, mostly unicellular cells. They become food of zooplankton, microscopic animals, animalcules in a water body. Zooplankton becomes food of the fishes, small fishes, large fishes, and ultimately man or other birds which can eat fishes. Rangelands means grassland, charaga, warshow, where animals are grazed. Goat, sheep, cattle, they graze and they become a food of man. They can be a food of the lion or tiger or other meat hunting animals. Plants, they become food of caterpillars, birds, falcon. आपने देखा होगा कि प्लांट्स के ऊपर छोटे छोटे कैटरपिलर लगे होते हैं जिनको बर्ड्स खा जाते हैं, बर्ड्स को फैल्कन खा जाते हैं और सो ऑन. प्लांट बर्ड्स मैन, दिस इज अनदर वे. प्लांट बर्ड्स मैन. प्लांट डियर लायन. प्लांट्स होते हैं जो कि डियर उनको खाते हैं और अल्टीमेटली डियर जो है फॉरेस्ट में जंगल में लायन का फूड बन जाते हैं. दिस इज अ डायग्राम. You can see a plant making its own food from the soil ends. Animals like rabbit is there shown that eats grass. Rabbit becomes victim to fox or to other higher animals in the food chain and ultimately they complete the cycle. This is another way. Plants are there at the bottom, grasshoppers are there, secondary consumers, birds are there. Falcon is tertiary consumer, grazing. This is a grazing chain. Now we are coming to parasitic chain. Parasitic means where parasites are involved. In our society, man, human, animals, everywhere parasites are there. Human parasites are there, animal parasites are there, bird parasites are there, which may be attached ecto-endotype parasites or are consumers. The energy transfers from green plants to herbivores and then on to the parasitic organisms. So herbivores होते हैं, herbivores के ऊपर पैरासाइट लगे होंगे, चिचनियाँ वगैरह इस तरह के इंसेक्ट्स जो कि ब्लड सकर्स होते हैं, लीचेस होती हैं, they would be sucking the blood food. Parasite is always smaller than the host. Parasite जो है ये हमेशा होस्ट से छोटा होगा. आप देखें कि पैरासाइट, टू गिव यू एन एग्जांपल, ह्यूमन बॉडी देखें, दो किस्म के पैरासाइट्स होते हैं ह्यूमन बॉडी में. एक सर के अंदर होते हैं हेड लाइस और एक बॉडी लाइस होते हैं, दोनों छोटे होते हैं. ऑलवेज स्मॉलर देन द होस्ट. फूड एनर्जी ट्रांसफर फ्रॉम लार्जर, ह्यूमन बॉडी इज लार्जर, to smaller organism without killing the predator. Kill नहीं करते, but they do cause diseases, they do cause weakness. Parasites दो टाइप के हो सकते हैं, ectoparasites and endoparasites. So these are the consumers in a parasitic food chain. The larger animals supporting parasites are host. The larger animals which support the parasite, they are the host. और smaller organism जो हैं which are receiving the nutrition, sucking the bloods or eating, so they are the parasite. In this type of food chain, either the producers or consumer is parasitized. So consumer भी parasitized हो सकता है और प्रोड्यूसर भी हो सकता है. सो दिस इज अनदर एग्जाम्पल. This example is very much confined. You can see very thin thread like arm thread से भी बारीक टाइप का होता है. It is very difficult to see them, but they are strangulides, called strangulides. They are more common in all those areas, Diekhan area, Banu area, and those desert area, Thar area, where there is a shortage of water and water is being used from pond, and that pond is also used by animals. So this disease is called Naru disease, Naru. तो ये नारू जो है स्ट्रैंगुलाइडिस, दिस इज़ अ पैरासिटिक और बड़ा स्ट्रॉन्ग पैरासिटिक है, पेनफुल पैरासाइट है. वन एवर इट एंटर्स it has three hosts. One is man, one is cattle, other is small सीपियाँ वगैरह जो हैं ये होते हैं. इसमें जो हार्मफुल इफ़ेक्ट है कि जी कोहनियों के पास, घुटनों के पास, टखनों के पास, जहाँ भी हड्डियों का जोड़ है वहाँ से ये निकलते हैं, अंडे देते हैं, फिर पानी में जाते हैं, फिर ये चेन शुरू होता है और अल्टीमेटली अभी तो गवर्नमेंट ने बहुत जगह पे इसको कंट्रोल कर लिया है, लेकिन पहले जब हम डे खान से मुल्तान जाया करते थे तो रास्ते में जगह जगह बोर्ड लगे होते थे जी के नारू इफेक्टेड एरिया, डोंट टेक वाटर फ्रॉम द पॉन्ड्स और water bodies. So think of this situation now. Okay, some simple example of parasitic food chains. Man uses plants, foods, while head and body lice, I have told you earlier, parasitize man, intestinal parasite in man, cattle, bird. So man, plant, man, head, body lice, endoparasites. Plants, man, mosquito, bird, falcon, ectoparasite. खटमल जो है ये पैरासाइट हैं. Buffaloes in wetlands are on graze on grasses become victim to blood-sucking leeches. Thus, energy moves from plants to leeches in parasitic food chain. So, खटमल भी parasite हैं. There are another example that plants are also parasite and they parasitize plants. If they parasitize man, they become toxic. But now we are thinking of parasitic food chain, so you can see the green plants, parasitic plants. The first example is you can see cuscuta is there, yellow type of threads hanging upon a tree. It doesn't have a contact with the soil, but kills the plant. In the second, I have used the word mistletoe. This is the common word. Uh, this picture is from on way to on way to Tira also, and so you can see plants like olives and walnuts and kikar, and this bunch you see, this is a mistletoe, Viscum album. Another, these two are shoot parasites, they grow on the shoots. Now another thing is there are root parasites. This very beautiful flower which comes out of the soil, it doesn't have leaves, stems, only this floral stalk comes out of the plant. This is Orobanchia cystenchia, all members of the Orobanchaceae. They are root parasites and they are attached to the different crops, all different plants. On the top there is Rafflesia, the largest spreading flower on the soil. This is also a root parasite. It doesn't grow in our area, but in tropical wet forest it is there. Only this flower comes out. It is a very stinky flower, and this is a parasite. Its below ground parts are attached to the plant. Saprophytic food chain. Saprophytes, in this case saprophytes, decay organisms or microbial organisms are involved. Organic matter is invariably produced by plants, animals, which needs decomposition by saprophytic organism. So it has to be decomposed, decayed, broken down to release the nutrients. Various decay organisms and saprophytes like bacteria, fungi, micro insects do not decay, but they cause fragmentation of the material, obtain their energy from the dead organic matter, and then become food for the other organism. So organic matter, one good example is the mushroom, which grows on the organic matter. Mushroom is eaten by the man or by the birds and then by other organisms. Detritus food chain, this is the same as the saprophytic chain. Organic matter is decomposed by soil microorganisms. The energy is transferred from dead organic matter. Now living is not involved. From dead organic matter, खाद से डिकेइंग ऑर्गेनिक मैटर, गंद जो होता है, या आपने पश्तो में हम कहते हैं डेरान, खाद का हीप, तो उसमें हमें तो नज़र नहीं आता क्या हो रहा है, लेकिन इंटरनली a breakdown is going on. That organic matter is decayed, broken down into finer particles and ultimately released of the nutrients is there. Organic matter, earthworms are there. Earthworms become victim to the centipedes. Centipedes or millipedes, they become victim to the birds. Birds may be eaten by hawk. Organic matter becomes food of detritus organism like earthworms, centipedes, soil micro, arthropods, which become food for small organisms. This is an example of detritus food chain. Dead leaves are there, wood lice is there, blackbird or any bird could be there which can eat this lice. Charles Hilton, in his book Animal Ecology, introduced the concept of food web. He also has known as food cycle. Food web means दो तीन साइकिल आपस में मिल जाते हैं, जाला, जाखा. Food chains are important because they reveal the complex connection that exists throughout ecosystems. Each creature in a food chain occupies a distinct niche in ecosystem. Food chains show how one organism relies on the survival for the other. Thank you very much. I would again say like, share and subscribe. If you have any suggestion or questions, my email is there. You can contact me. I'll give you a detailed reply. Thank you very much, gentlemen.